Speech patterns are the most effective tool in sales. Not only is your speech involved, but your pattern of speech is the way it's going to develop the mindset for the customer to pursue your product and or service. You see, we encompass power statements, we encompass our urban, we encompass all of our big fat claims, we encompass all of our knowledge about the product and the company. We use our tonality in order to enthrall our clients and or prospects at this point. Although sales framework, it justifies and gives reasoning for people to make that purchase. You see, everybody uses some sort of framing technique. Everyone in sales and or everyone outside of sales will use justification and will give you reasons on why they either like something or they dislike something. You see, we like to use certain words, which are adages, to give proof behind all of our statements. And that's exactly what framing is. Now, I want to dive right into the subject, and I want you to take appropriate notes. But listen clearly, because you don't want to miss the lesson that we're about to go over. This is something that will justify and bring your sales closing rates at least 10 to 20% above where you currently are if you use it a fraction of the time. How confident I am to teach you this process is about using power statements, tonality, and putting it all on the line. You see, without framing, you will not have the sale. We all need permission to probe. We all need to give proof and justification of why to believe us with our product and our service and why it can benefit a client. We need to get them on our side. So jumping into what is sales framing. Now, sales framing is given the evidence to support a certain statement. A statement such as a big power statement in which we go over. So if I were to say I'm the best at what I do, I can't just say that. There's no reasoning behind it. I have to give reason, I have to give proof, and then I gotta give justification, and then I gotta ask for clarity from my prospect and or customer in return. You see, what is sales framing? Framing is about saying a statement, I'm either the best at what I do or my company is best suited for you because. If we don't give a reason for a statement, it's just a statement. It's like a headline of a newspaper. You have to read the article, right? You can't just read, city in trouble. There's a power statement for you, but why? What's the reasoning? Tell me what's going on. Where's the evidence? What does this mean to me? What does it really mean to me? What's going to happen? These are questions that all of your prospects are asking, and or your clients and or the people looking at your marketing and or websites. Everybody's saying, well, why do I want this? Why do I want to buy from you? Well, we're going to tell them why. How can it help me? Well, who really uses it? Presidents. If you ever watch C-SPAN, or if you ever just watch a presidential address, you will see that President Obama, President Clinton, who is one of the best framers ever, everybody uses a framework because it gets us on their page. It helps us to understand where they are coming from. It helps us to become the average person which has no disbelief on their statements. We will believe in clarity on what their power statement is. So if the president was going to say, I am the best at what I do, he's going to say the reason why is because of X. And what does it mean to you? What does it really mean to you? And then why are you asking me? And then they're going to ask permission for you to get on their side. See, more importantly, what the sales framework is, and it's been done by a number of sales speakers out there. To name a few, we will go over at a later time. More importantly, is it really important? Yeah, it actually is. Because this is what's going to help you from 0 to 100. And I'm telling you this because without framing somebody, they won't have an understanding about your product. You can't just read a brochure to somebody and hope that they like it. You can't just say, hey, do you like my presentation? You have to tell people why they should. You should go with my product because of XYZ. What it's going to do for you is XYZ. And what it's really going to do for you is YZX. Now, my purpose is to go through the product to let you become a valued client. Do you mind if I ask? And then you're going to proceed. You see, the first step to a framing technique is going to be what I call power statements. We have gone over power statements. I'm the best at what I do. Let me be your company liaison. Let me be your interactive brochure. Most people inside your situation. Then we're going to use the word because. Then we have to use a meaning to, and then we have to ask permission to proceed. See, if we don't use our power statements, we don't use our justification, and if we don't give our meanings to something, and then we don't go for permission to probe, well, we don't have anything left. Let's go over it in detail. Power statements. Why do we have to explain a power statement? Well, if I just told you I'm the best at what I do, you're going to say, okay. And that's about it. And you're going to say, I hear this all the time. Why are you the best at what you do? I never heard of you before. What can you do for me? Right? What's in it for me? Right? What did you do for me lately? What can you do for me now? Remember that. Now, we have to make a bold statement. We have to make it memorable. I'm the best at what I do. See, Mrs. Jones, hands down, I'm the best at what I do. The reason I say that is because most people inside your situation, they come to me, ask me if I can save them up to 40% on their current health insurance. And my answer to them is always the same. I will definitely try. In most situations, I can help people inside your situation, Mrs. Jones. The reason why is X. Then I'm going to jump into my next phase of framing. More importantly, we can use any power statement that we want. Mrs. Jones, most people inside your situation usually go with plan X. The reason I say that is because. So first we need to make a bold statement. Really, really bold. With my sales leadership courses, you will become 1,000% better of a closer than if you have never taken the course before. The reason I say that is because I have seen salespeople that I have trained use my course, use all of my techniques, and close 1,000% more than they did before. Now, it's a strong, bold statement, Mrs. Jones, although I have proof, and I'm going to give you the evidence to support it. You see, one of my trainees by the name of Shane Brodell started out with me as a busboy. Now, coming aboard with me as a busboy, he transformed himself into a qualifier, fronter, and then licensed agent. Shane is now one of my top closers. Shane has gone from 0 to 1 a week to 2 a week, all the way to an average of 10 a week using my closing techniques. Sometimes Shane will have exceptional weeks where he will sell upwards of 20 health insurance policies. Now, Mrs. Jones, I am so confident that I can help you inside your business close more with these techniques that I'm going to ask you a quick question. Do you mind if I ask? And then that's permission to probe. Then you move on. Now, the second phase of our process of hammering that frame around our picture, our framework, is that word because. Now, the reason we have to use because is because people need reasons. Again, because people need reasons. People need justification. People want to believe. They want to know to believe. Statements need facts. We can't just say, hey, this house is haunted. People are going to say, really? Why is that? Then we're going to say, because of. Every time we answer a question, we usually use the word because. If somebody says, well, why do you think that? We always say, well, because most people usually choose this. Because it has, and then we give more reasoning behind it. Because is a word that all of us love to use. If somebody's waiting for a cab in New York, all of a sudden a pregnant lady comes up the street. Well, she can say to us, do you mind if I catch the cab because I need to get across town? I'm currently pregnant. Do you mind helping me? Most people usually will say yes. Sometimes in New York, people will say, no, get your own cab. Although, when you give reasoning and justification for a big, bold statement, people will succumb to what you are saying. More importantly, Why? Because of this and blank. Again, going back into I'm the best at what I do. Mrs. Jones, hands down, I am the best at what I do. The reason is because of my years of countless training and leadership courses. Mrs. Jones, I have taken multiple companies public and helped them grow from zero to millions of dollars in submitted premium in dollars. More importantly, my job is to help you, Mrs. Jones. Now, then we have to move into the next phase. Because has to be used to give justification to your big, bold statement. So if I was going to say to somebody, Mrs. Jones, consider me your interactive brochure. You see, most brochures, they will show you a family holding hands, roller skating down the street using our product. Mrs. Jones, that brochure will not answer your questions. The reason why is because it's not me. I'm here to tell you the good, the bad, and the indifferent, Mrs. Jones, because I want you to keep a product that's going to work for you, not against you. Does that make sense? Boom. Then we're going to move into the next phase. The next phase is the reason one. Now we have a moving target here. Reason one, a benefit for the client. Show proof, evidence, make it seem reasonable, and then allows a picture to be painted. Now, Mrs. Jones, the reason why I say this and what it really means to you is that I'm going to be here in your time of need. You see, Mrs. Jones, the brochure, it won't pick up the phone for you. I will. The brochure, it's only going to show you those pretty pictures. I'm going to paint you the bad ones too. Because Mrs. Jones, let's face it, there's not good in everything, but there can be more good than bad. I'm here to tell you about both sides. Mrs. Jones, I want you to make the right decision. And making a right decision is going based on the real facts. More importantly, Mrs. Jones, I am the best at what I do because of my years of countless training and support at the company. Mrs. Jones, I've helped countless people go from zero to millions of dollars in submitted premium and or submitted services. How I've done that is this. More importantly, what it means to you, Mrs. Jones, is I can take you with your current level of production and increase it by a minimum of double. A minimum of double. Because I can guarantee that you're not asking for the sale over 5 times. Am I right in saying that? A lot of us, we get scared, we get skittish, and that's okay. We're fearful. But what it really means to you is I'm going to develop you into the sales assassin that you always wanted to be. The one that's not afraid to become that 80% asking 5 times on one call, asking 5 times in one sitting. How is that going to elevate you, Mrs. Jones? If you ask for the money more, you're going to get more responses. You're going to get more yeses. Why? Because you simply asked. We're going to get rid of that fear of rejection. We're going to teach you the tonality. We're going to teach you framework. We're going to teach you how to self-tout yourself and your company. Mrs. Jones, we're going to teach you how to make more money. Does that make sense? Then we're going to move on. Reason 2. It's just another benefit. What it really means to you. Remember that. What this product will really do for you. More benefits. Go down. Say something once. All right, it seems all right. I get it. The guy's good. Say something twice. Well, now it's starting to make sense. Okay, I heard that before. Okay, I understand that part. Well, give 2 facts. Now you know it. Well, evidence is key. Say something 3 times. There you go. Trick me once. Trick me twice, trick me 3 times, right? That's the old saying, it's the old adage. But this is the same reason why we have to use the porcupine close, which is the power of 3, right? Which we'll go over during our closing seminar. But when you give 2 reasons for something, you give them more justification to it. If you tell somebody what it means to you by going with me is X. Well, what it really means to you is I'm going to be able to make you more money, Mrs. Jones. By purchasing this product, it's going to make your life easier. Going with the upgraded leather inside of this car is going to be more comfortable over time. I mean, Mrs. Jones, would you rather spend an extra couple $100s to be happier over the next few years? I mean, think about it, Mrs. Jones. We only live a very short time. And in that time, we only get to own a few simple cars. Now, is $100 worth the investment to go spend a lifetime of happiness? And or would you rather be upset and always say, I wish I made the right decision? You see, make the decision when the facts are fresh in your mind, Mrs. Jones. What it really means to you is just purely you're going to be happier. Me and you both know it. Most people inside your situation would make the same decision. Here's what we have to do. Now, evidence has to be key in that. Next step, the proof was justified. In sales framework, you have to justify everything, right? Evidence was certainly given. It made sense to the client. You have to go in for the close now. How do we do that? Mrs. Jones, my purpose at this time is to ask you a few simple questions. Or, my purpose at this time is to ask you a few simple questions and to get a few simple answers. Mrs. Jones, my purpose at this time is to get your answers to a few simple questions. However you want to word it is fine. Mrs. Jones, my purpose at this time is to go ahead and get everything out to you. In order to do that, I want to make the soonest effective date. Is the first and or the second more appropriate for you? Which one would work better for you, Mrs. Jones? The third or the fourth? My purpose at this time is to get a better start date for you and your family. Mr. CEO, my purpose at this time is just to get your opinion based upon what you've seen in the marketplace compared to what we just went over. Do you mind if I ask you a question? You can use sales framework in anything. America, my purpose at this time is to let you all know why we need to be in the Middle East, right? Our purpose as a nation is to know and understand why we are going through XYZ. Have to close. Remember, everybody needs to be closed on what they just heard right away. You can't wait on that. You can't wait to close on the meanings and the justification that you just gave to a big, bold claim. Sales framing, once again. Framing. Power statements. You gotta claim it. You gotta seem big, bad, ugly, beautiful, whatever you want to put there. Justify it. Give your reasons. Benny 1, Benny 2, right? Meaning to this, what it really means to you. Then we gotta probe that client. We got to close them. Always ask for that permission. You, as a sales framework closer, will greatly understand this as you develop power statements inside your business. Your website, your car business, your real estate business, insurance business, furniture business, whatever you may be in. If you're a highline executive, understand what your customers are looking for, understand what they would want to hear. Place yourself inside their position and say to yourself, is this what I want to hear? And what meaning and justification do I need in order to get closed on something? Then you will become a true sales professional mixed in with all the other techniques. If you have any questions, email me directly.